Welcome to COMTO in Toronto's first event to celebrate Black History Month. My name is Annette Farley, and I am the president of the chapter. We are exceptionally excited to have you all here, and before I get into introductions, we just have a few housekeeping items to inform you of. This call is being recorded and will be made available on our website to view later next week. To submit questions for the Q&A portion of our event, please use the chat feature, which can be found at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, or use the hand-up function, and when you are called upon, we will unmute you so you can ask your question. Questions will be answered at the end of the reading. Attendees will have the option of changing their views on their browser app to show panelists and the presentation. Once again, thank you for joining us. Our chapter was created last year, and it isn't even a year old yet. We have accomplished a lot so far, with more in store for later this year. Right now, we are happy to be showcasing one of the many unsung heroes who work in the background of our industry, supporting our frontline workers who are out there every day, moving our residents of the city to work and back home safely. Without further delay, let me introduce you to Andrew Dixon, one of our chapter's vice presidents who works at the TTC. Andrew has been at TTC for almost 20 years, working in various departments such as Operations Training Center, Transit Control, Streetcar, Subways, Stations, and Bus Transportation before landing in his current role as head of Special Constable. Phew, Andrew, you've been around the organization. You know a lot of different places. He has earned the admiration of his colleagues, leading by example, encouraging innovation and managing with an open door and open-minded approach. Much of the success he has achieved to date has been due to his commitment to ensuring that his team remains aware, responsive, creative, and supported. While he was at the Operations Training Center, Andrew worked closely with our featured guest. I will now allow Andrew to introduce the man of the hour, Derick Asante.
My name is Andrew Dixon. I'm the head of the Special Constable Service at TTC, and it's an absolute honor to be here today to introduce Derick Asante. In my tenure as the head of the training department at TTC, that's where I met Derick. So he's always pleasant, an infectious smile, always well-dressed, always prepared and ready to teach. So as an instructor, one of the things that we do at the TTC is we teach people how to drive the vehicles. So a subway, streetcar, buses, and as you know, those are very big vehicles and it's very intimidating to drive. So as an instructor, you need patience, you need determination, and you need to be able to reach individuals. And Derick embodies all of this. He's the perfect person to be with. So if you are scared, he will make you calm. If you're sad, he'll make you laugh. And this is one of the things that I really respect about Derick, who we're introducing today. So with that said, I'd just like to introduce the man of the hour, a true hero for me. I just want to sort of pay homage to Black History Month, right? Because of Black History Month, we're able to sit here today to recognize a true hero, right? And we appreciate that. I call him the everyday hero, right? And with nothing else to say, I'm going to welcome Derick. Thank you for sharing your talent with the world.
Goodness, what an intro. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here. It's a great privilege and opportunity for me to actually be among such excellence. Today I want to share with everyone the first publication, children's publication of mine, and just a backstory before we get into it. First of all, welcome everyone that's tuned in, that's listening. We appreciate your support. And so the story is the best of Gray. It's a story and it stemmed from a poem that I had written for my daughter, and is really a poem about how can I get her to actually tap into loving herself more than anything else on the planet. And once I finished that poem, I realized every child can kind of benefit from this. So how do I get it to them, and in what format? And I thought a book would be the best. And so that's how this book came to be, the birth of The Best of Gray. So without further ado, by the way, the cover art was done by my daughter herself, since she realized that the book's going to be inspired by her and the poem that I wrote about her. So she got the credit for the artwork on the cover. So without further ado, please join me in the reading of The Best of Gray. This is the story of me. My name is Gray. I am the little pretty African girl from around the way. I am an elegant little lady, my granny would say, because my clothes stay clean whenever I play. You see, I'm a girl with dark brown skin, with a long history of royalty. I am brave, and I'm rather unique, and I can do anything. Like you, I may be small in size, but my heart is big, and I'm as pretty as the flowers in May, as my uncle would say. You see, I love my family, and my family loves me. I am beautiful on the inside and out, as you can see. I don't need many friends because I am free. I'm a beautiful blackbird, as fly as can be. Did you know that I'm great all by myself? I'm sure you're great by yourself as well. But being alone is fine. I also have friends that care as well. And my smile is divine. I'm the little African girl who changes the game. And my personality is contagious, and that's no shame. You see, because I love everything about me, and that won't change. There's more to discover. Let's turn the page. Sometimes I can be shy, and then I am giddy. Laughing is good, so I laugh myself silly. But did you also know that I have superpowers? Similar to you, except I get it from the curls of my afro, the kinks in my hair, the glow of my skin that shines like the moon. See, my melanin, powered by the sun everywhere. Like an African daisy, I can be wild when I bloom. Also like you, I am super smart with a big imagination. And I learn the most when I try new things. That's right. My African roots have queens and kings. And I think you should know about other kids that look just like me. And I am the little African girl from around the way. I don't worry about the bad things people may say, because I love everything about me, and that won't change. There's only one me, and I'm strong for my age. So until next time, this is the best of me, Gray. I want to thank you for being here with me today. And I hope that you had an opportunity to actually enjoy this. And I hope you had the kids with you and that they had an opportunity to really enjoy the story. And this story is really, like I said earlier, to inspire every young child to love themselves for who they are, their abilities, their talents, who they are, their identity, their families, and everything that makes them who they are. Whether they have the talent that they embody and things like that. Art is a huge part of my existence. And so I encourage everyone to continue to pursue that, especially. And thank you for your time. It's been a treat and a pleasure.
Thank you, Derick. So what we want to do next is we want to know that if anybody in the has any has any questions from the chat, and I will go to the chat, and I have a couple questions for Derick that I will add in as well. So my first question is, what inspires you?
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if he's answering, but I can't hear anything.
Yeah, it looks like there's some technical difficulty.
Well, we have someone in the chat, Claire and Zaki. And in the chat, they say, we love this book. Move over, Robert Munch. He's got nothing on you. Thank you very much for that comment.
What I love about the book, Andrew, while we get the technical issues resolved with Derick, what I loved about the book was the positivity of it. You know, the way that it highlights some of the things that are great about being a little child, and you know, you can, at that age, you don't necessarily have any biases, but you want to be able to be positive. You want to love other children and yourself, and sometimes we all need to see that as children, you know, especially the powerful message that would come from like our parents. Our parents tell us all the time. You know, it's just great, and I think that if other children are able to read that book and see someone other than who may look more like them, or even if they don't, just get a better understanding of someone who doesn't look like them, I think it's a great thing. You know, so I was really excited when we were going to do this event.
Yeah, and I can take it a step further. So one of the things that I've done, especially this year, somebody sent me a clip from YouTube, and it was just about change, right? And how as humans we always fight change because we like that regular rigor. And what COVID has done has sort of forced us out of that everyday step by step. And it's really made a lot of people connect back with even being outside, being with their kids, because you were always going to work and your kids were always at school or in daycare or at soccer practice, right? So it's getting a lot of people to reconnect. So one of the things that I've done personally is embrace sort of being a child. Like as adults, we forget. So when it snowed, as much as I hate snow, I went outside and made a snow angel. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Just the simple little things. And I think if we embrace our childhood a little bit, you know, because as adults we have all the responsibilities and everything that we need to do every day. But if we could just let that go for a little bit every day, then it'll make our lives even better.
And it sets a great example for our children, to let them know they should never forget being children or what that feels like. Because if, you know, your parents can do it, that means it's okay. So I think that's great. The illustrations were beautiful. And, you know, I think that's one of the questions that we're probably going to ask Derick, you know, when he comes back through, that the book looks really well done. It's greatly illustrated, and I think that it's really important that he allowed his daughter Gray to participate in in some of the illustrations, the artwork. It shows involvement And again, it's again to that leading message of being able to have your children do something that they can be proud of, even at a young age. And when it shows that appreciation, it's a great thing. That's actually a very good comment. It's one of the comments that just came through that, unfortunately as adults, we've forgotten the gift of appreciating humans and the incredible gifts that we are given. That is absolutely right. And as Andrew said, I think that we've been forced to be reminded to get back to the basics and to the fundamentals of being human beings and what that means. And so, sure. One of our participants has a question. If we can get Romaine unmuted. Good morning.
Good morning.
You have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
The first thing I was going to say is, how long did it take you to make that book?
So I know that Derick isn't here, but this is a question that I did ask him, and he said it took him about a year. He had the idea for the story, but it took him a year because he's also working full time and he has to do dad duties. And so in his spare time, he was able to do the illustrations. And Derick's back on, so I will let him answer that question. Derick, we have a question from one of our participants asking how long it took you to do the book. We can't hear you.
I had a connection issue. How long did it take me to create the book? It took about a year with the actual writing of the content and the artwork. So the artwork is what obviously consumed a lot of the time. So I had a goal, obviously, with life happening. You're balancing work-life balance, and you got to find time to get the artwork done. So it was a lot of long hours, but definitely worth it. Definitely worth it.
So I do have a question before, Andrew, you get into the couple that you have. Derick, why was it important for you to have Gray participate in the cover art?
I think it's something that I noticed. I've worked with children for many years, since I was 16. And I found that when you actually get children involved in things that they can be a part of, it actually empowers them in ways that you can't even imagine. For me, it was essential because I needed her to also understand that she should continue to believe in herself, not just in her day-to-day interactions with us, but to recognize that something that has her name on it is out there in the world, and for her peers to also recognize that is also important for me. It's a legacy thing, right? It's also something that I know that even when she's much older, she's going to look back on it and say, wow, I was a part of that. And that was very important. And it'll also give her that confidence to come out of her shell to express and show her art because she loves to draw. So I said, what better way to showcase that and encourage her at the same time than to get her involved in the project.
Okay, so before Andrew gets into his, any kids that are on this event, we would love to hear from you. We had one child that popped in with a question, but we want to hear from as many kids as we can. So please let us know if you have a question. Put a question in the chat. We will unmic you so you can get to ask your question directly to Derick. So we welcome it. Please just put your hand up.
Awesome.
Okay, Derick. Okay, Andrew.
Yeah, so I'm looking in the chat, and I'm hoping I'm saying the name right, Zaki and Claire. And the question is, what is your plan for your next book? Zach
That
is
is
5 years old.
That is awesome. So I'm working on another book, and it's going to also focus on, obviously, children, but it's going to be from the boy's perspective as well, right? So the character in there is going to be a male character, and his interaction with the toys and things that he engages with, and also sharing the relationship between, himself and Gray. So I'm creating a siblings series, and how they interact with one another, and then introducing their friends and the toys that they also participate with. So that's the relationship I'm working on, and how we interact with one another and our friends and things like that. So that's what I'm working on. That's going to be the next chapter.
Excellent question. Okay, so I'll throw one in for myself. What's your history and family background?
Wow. So my family is from Okorpong, which is the south region of Ghana. But I grew up in Kumasi with my uncle. And so I spent a lot of time with my cousins. That's where the arts came from. I learned a lot from my cousin, who was an artist as well. And so I kind of piggybacked on that and fell in love with it at that point. But originally from Ghana, and I made my way to reunite with my mother in '91 in Toronto. And so that's just a little bit of a history as to where I'm from and where my family's from. And so that's pretty much it. And there's a mix of Guyana in there as well. That's where my wife is from. So that's our background as far as that. And the lineage from both sides is really about discipline and being the best version of you that you can be. And so we try to embody that and share that with our kids on a daily basis and those that we come in contact with every day. That's a great question.
I have another question for you. What's your favorite book to read?
Oh, wow. I actually really enjoyed The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene and The Art of War, because it really talks about how to think and how to navigate your environments and interact with different people that you come in contact with. And it's taught me not to necessarily treat everyone the same, but how they should be treated, right? So it's more from an equity lens that I look at things, not just equality. So I try to make sure if I'm, interacting with somebody, it's about their needs and what best way to communicate and interact with them. Not so much what I think I should do and project my expectations on them. So those books actually taught me a lot about that. So those are my favorites, I would say.
Okay, so we have someone who has their hands up. I hope I'm saying the name correctly. Tej and Luke.
So it's Tice. Do you want to ask the question?
Yeah,
you do it. Come on.
Yeah.
Everyone's listening.
You do.
So we got a little shy. We were just wondering, did your daughter help you write the book more than just draw on the cover?
I wrote the poem for her. That was one of the pieces that we would read to her as a part of her reading series. So every night we read to our kids. And the poem, once I finished it, was one that we would also read. And so from there, she loved it so much. And I've been teaching her how to create her own little image books. And so from there, she actually said, well, why don't we make a book, Daddy? And I said, that's actually not a bad idea. So that's where it came from. And so every once in a while, I'd run a few of the changes by her. And if she got excited about it, I said, okay, it was good to go. All right. So once she was excited, I took it and ran with it. I also ran it by a few friends of mine. And they also gave me some feedback in how we can tweak it. So it was a good process, but she was definitely involved. That's an awesome question. I like that one.
Sort of thing that when I hear that, I think about the stuff that adults can take from children.
Yeah.
Right? Because you look at writing your book and you're like, oh, there's no way I can write a book. You know what I mean? And from a child's eyes, it's like, why don't we just write a book? Right?
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? And we put, as adults, we put all these restrictions on it, why we can't do it. And as a child, it's like, there's no restrictions there. Like, just write the book. You know?
That's it.
So,
that's it. She actually, just to piggyback on that, she actually was involved with some of the coloring as well. So every night when I, be up late and she can't sleep, she'd see me in the, my little studio, and she would come sit with me, and I get her to start doing some of the painting and things like that. So I try to get her involved in almost every aspect of it because I'm trying to nurture that, right? And I don't ever want them to lose sight of what they're able to do, what they're capable of. I don't restrict them from playing with my stuff, whereas I know in some situations we don't want kids to touch things because they're expensive. I say go for it. If it's going to inspire something in you, then that's what I'm looking for.
So cool. Okay, next question. What are the best things you got from your parents?
Oh, wow. The best things. I would say discipline, a lot of encouragement. And especially when I came to Toronto, it wasn't obviously the easiest transition. There's three of us siblings, and my mother was a single parent. So what she tried to do was just remind us that she, got us to this new land for a reason, right? And that was just for a better opportunity. So don't squander it. And she just, reminded us that every day. She would always say, take a look around. What can you do better, right? What can you do different? And don't just follow the crowd. Make sure you stand out from the crowd and try to create your own path in a lot of situations. Don't be a follower. But I also learned that as an adult, following is not always a bad thing. Sometimes some of the best followers are actually the leaders behind the scenes, right? Because they actually encourage those in the forefront. But that was a great lesson that I learned, was that try to find your own voice. And I think that's what I got from her messages, is find your voice, believe in yourself, believe in that voice, and follow it, right? Trust your gut. And I think oftentimes we second guess ourselves, but I think if we start listening to our inner voices, we can accomplish quite a bit. So that was the one thing that stuck with me, and I'm just passing it on.
Okay, we got a question from Christina. Was your daughter a tough editor?
Oh boy, was she tough. She's got a few simple syllable words that she wanted to plug in, and I was just like, it could work, but just not in this location. But it was fun. It was definitely fun.
We got another question from Michaela. Can you unmute Romaine?
I like this book because it teaches me about royalty, and I know that I'm special because my mom talks about it a lot.
And that's what it's about, right? That's exactly what it's about. I've had the privilege of visiting a few classrooms this entire week, and it's been incredible. I met some incredible kids and creative kids, inspiring kids. And that's all I want, is that more children get exposed to this stuff and adults continue to do the hard work that you do and, allow them to be who they're supposed to be and try not to put too many limitations on them, right? Encourage them. And I think that's what this is about. Let them know who they are.
What goals are you working on right now?
Legacy. It's always about legacy, what you're going to leave behind, right? And I think really what I want is when people are having a conversation, and if my name pops up, I just want them to remember that I was consistent. I also want my kids to know that when people are talking about me, that it reflects what I display to them. But ultimately, to simplify things a little bit more, what I'm working on is, again, the series of books that I'm working on. I'm also working on an animated series that I want to pitch to see, obviously related to the books and the characters. So I'm trying to see if I can get that created because my background is animation as well. So I'm trying to bring everything into one continuum so that I can actually get it out there, whether it's on screens, mobile devices, or things like that. But ultimately, the goal is to try and get a mini series happening from the characters that we're going to be creating in the future. So.
one of the comment, and forgive me with the names. I think it's Chanda, and it says, "Thank you for such a lovely book. I am happy to see my kids reflected in the artwork and experiences described."
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
And I think that is a wonderful thing. One of the things we talked about for COMTO, one of the things that we're trying to do is develop mentorship for kids and people in high school, university, and different things that we can mentor them in the industry, right, and beyond. And one of the things that always comes up is when you have kids that are looking up, can I get to this position? When they look, if they don't see their face there, then it's a barrier for them, right? It doesn't seem achievable because when they look at all the different positions, and if they don't see a face that looks like theirs, it's it could dissuade them from sort of moving forward, right? So this is just one of the things that's getting us there.
That's
so
awesome.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any initiatives that you're working on right now that you support?
There's a wonderful organization that I had the privilege of also partnered up with in the past, and that's Sketch. Sketch is an initiative that I support because it's arts-based. They focus on the arts. They also focus on the individual. That's a part of it. They allow you to explore your creativity and then also transition you into becoming, an entrepreneur if the opportunity presents itself. And so they're extremely supportive, and I think that's an initiative that I am proud to say that, continue to support in the background and things like that. So Sketch is one of them. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I have a couple other comments I see. It says, I hope the TTC recognizes the incredible talent they have. And another one is, unfortunately, as adults, we have forgotten the gift of appreciating humans for the incredible gifts that we have and are given. I see this book as being an aspect of the training and development within the corporate world. How can we learn from this child as adults? What can we do to change? Yeah, so that's powerful.
It is. Can I address that a bit?
Yep.
That is awesome. And I think that's very critical. How can we as adults, I guess, do better as far as, helping out our colleagues or peers and things like that? I think it starts with the individual. I think it really starts with the person. And are you willing to grow? Are you willing to give up something to gain something? And that's a powerful thing to recognize because oftentimes we want to learn something new, but we're not willing to let go of the old habits we have, right? And a great quote I remember the legendary Bruce Lee stated was, people often want to learn from what I have, but when I ask them, for example, if you have a cup of Coke and that's your drink and I have a cup of water, and you ask me for some of my water, but I said to you, you need to empty your cup of Coke in order to, to get some of my water, and they refuse. And therein lies a challenge. If you're not willing to let go of what you are proud of or what you think is the best thing for you in order to obtain new information, because your cup is already full, then how can you retain new information, new knowledge, new experiences, right? So I think we need to start looking at ourselves and saying, what am I willing to let go, right? And what am I willing to accept? New ideas from different people and new challenges. So I think that's something to consider. I think it really starts with the individual.
Okay, so we have another question from Christina. It's actually one of the questions that I had. You mentioned the story stemmed from a poem from your daughter. Any others that you've created for her, or maybe another book?
I have many poems that I've written about my kids. And because she was my firstborn, she obviously has more than my son, but I have plenty. And I love to write, and so that's my escape. So I'm constantly writing, and new ideas pop in, but I do have several poems that I've written about her and her brother.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. I know Jane is probably cringing right now. But, can you read one of them, or do you have one close by?
Oh, well, you know what? I'll look for one as we continue with other questions, and then when I do come across it, I'll definitely share one.
Okay. So I think we got cut off when I asked the first question, what inspires you?
It's the everyday, the possibility of a tomorrow, right? The possibility of a tomorrow, and what am I going to do with it? It's also my kids. They inspire me every day. The fact that they get up with that energy and ready to go, right? And I try and take that from them, that take that same energy and that same approach, get up and be ready to go, no matter what the day looks like, what the weather presents, or any of that stuff, right? So you show up because the person on the receiving end of your energy has no idea what you're going through, and they don't need to know. They just need to know that you came and you showed up for them, and that inspires me. Knowing that regardless of what I may be going through, I'm able to show up for you and make your day better if you were having a rough day, right? And obviously, I love to laugh, so my goal, literally every day, is to make sure I get at least 2 good laughs. I'm talking the gut, busting type laughs in there. If I get that, then my day is complete.
I'm gonna add that to mine because I can't tell when last I had a gut bun. Well, actually today when I called you earlier. So you see what I mean here? Practice that way. But that is a good goal to have because we don't laugh enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a comment from Amanda. So she said, "Great reading. Well done, Derick. Amazing to encourage the younger generations to be empowered."
Thank you.
Another question I have is, what's your social media handle?
My Instagram is Derick Asante. That's DerickAsante_. And on Twitter, it's a little bit more tricky, but it's DAGD Photography. And you can also pick up your copy of the book. I don't know if you were going to ask that, but I'll share that anyway. And you can also grab a copy of your book at GrayMilesPublishing.com.
Okay, and through everything that we were talking about today, you didn't tell me anything about photography.
So that was
some background on that.
So that's my. So before I actually joined the commission, for about 4 years, I was working as an independent photographer and videographer. So I was doing a lot of portraits and wedding events and things like that. And that was just something that I wanted to do. So I left my previous job to do that, to follow that. So I did that for about 4 years. And so I still do it. I take photos for family and things like that and friends and so forth. But I started to transition and focus on, obviously, the book and other creative aspects of myself. So, that's a little bit history of that.
So that's another thing that's inspiring too, right? So to leave like a job to follow your passion, right? Like that's scary, right? So and it takes a strength to do that. I was talking to an individual today with the special constable group, and one of his passions is wrestling. Like his passion is WWE. So he did like wrestling in school and all that sort of stuff, and he actually got like one step away from signing with WWE. Right.
Wow.
And he's still going to pursue it. I think COVID sort of put a hamper on everything, but I'm hoping that works out for him. But you see that stuff on TV, and I was really inspired by him because it's like, you see it on TV and now you have somebody who's aspiring to sort of get there. Right. And
that's right.
His passion. But so that's powerful to hear.
So I wanted to share something that is really, really powerful. And I think people need to recognize that it takes a great deal of courage to follow your dreams. It's easier said, but if your support system doesn't believe in your dream, it makes it that much harder, right? And I think that's something to also recognize, that our support systems, those of us who are helping the individuals that are trying to pursue their dreams, you're essential. You either make it happen or you don't, right? And so be that person that they need you to be at all times. And I think being a supporting cast is just as important as being the lead, right? And so let's not lose sight of that as well. You guys are just as important in that individual's universe, right? So let's keep that in mind. So I found a poem
Beautiful.
that I can share. And before I read the poem, a little birdie told me to make sure I share a contest that's happening on social media. So if you follow myself on Instagram, you'll get the details of that. So you can go there and get that. So without further ado, let me jump in on this poem. So this poem you'll actually find at the back of the book. And it's called My Second Heartbeat. A letter for a little lady, my second heartbeat. A part of daddy and mommy is what you embody. Know that you will always be my baby girl. Give you my all in effort and cherish my pearl. Promise to not influence your creative interests. Remind you to always put yourself first and refuse limits. Won't assume your passions because you're a girl. You will know that all things of interest, Firebird. Not just the flowers, but go-karts and karate. Play sports, dance, and do everything like you're godly. Help me with my work when I'm feeling subpar. Grow up slow to become a woman of confidence, a star. Listen with your heart and mind without grimace. I'll treat mommy as my equal, so respect is what you'll witness. My expressions shall be clear to understand and never blurred. When you speak, I will be silent, so your thoughts aren't disturbed. Witness my tears. Sorry, I get emotional with this piece.
That's it. Take your time. I think you have a couple people tearing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Witness my tears and know that there is strength in being sensitive. Try even when it scares you most. That's imperative. We'll have our own inside jokes and not even mommy will know. Spend hours at a time window shopping at Indigo. People will always let you down when you need them most. So I'll teach you how to pick yourself up when you fall to your lowermost. Friends will come and many will leave. Protect your heart from vultures and don't wear it on your sleeve. The one you fall in love with won't know how special you are. Share with you my greatest fear before your first heartbreak. Show me once again your talents and how to be fearless. I'll attempt to understand your vision even if I don't know. Know that everything you choose to do matters. Come to me with your obstacles and together we will build ladders. Always believe and love yourself first. Don't wait for anyone to do it before you do. Love, Daddy.
That was beautiful.
Yes,
Thank you.
I read that one a couple of times to my daughter.
Thank you.
And I'm probably going to do it like a few more times because I think like if you keep doing it over and over, it'll sink in after a while, right?
Yeah.
But she loved the book as well. She loves colors, right? Like rainbow colors and stuff like that. So it really appealed to her. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay,
Thank
so I'll
you.
give you a final thought, and then we'll wrap up.
Awesome.
So, for me, like I just want to thank everybody, for spending their precious time with us because I believe time is precious. Is one of the things that you never get back, right? So, I think just based off of our conversation, I think everybody learned a little bit today, and so, sort of can take nuggets away and sort of inspire people within their lives, right? So, so the thought that I have is I have one of my favorite singers now, reggae singer. His name's Chronix, and he has a song called Legend. And I think this embodies what we were talking about today, and even Derick, right? And the daily things that people do that you may take for granted, right? Because you think it's an easy thing, but it has a powerful impact on other people, right? So part of the chorus reads, it says like, I'm a legend that you've never heard before. I'm a lion but you never hear me roar, right? I'm a hero that nobody celebrates, right? Which is a key thing. But if one person remembers my name, that means I made a change, right? So, there's a lot more to the song, but that's the part that appeals to me, and I think it applies to Derick today and a lot of other people, right? Because there's a lot of people around there doing the same things, and they think it's small, but if it touches somebody and it makes a change and inspires somebody, then I think it's super important, right? So one of the things we have to remember that when you drop a touch of water and you see the ripple effect, like it grows and grows and it grows and it doesn't stop, right? So so keep doing. and keep doing what you're doing and keep inspiring people because I'm inspired, right? And to everybody on the call, be well and take care of each other.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining, everybody.